women. I'm Tom Kelly. My broadcaster's on the show tonight, the man who won the Olympic gold medal in the decathlon, Dan O'Brien. And to my left, track and field expert, full of lore, tradition, magic, and all kinds of stuff, Tom Fuhr. A great 4x100 by the women. How about the men? Some stars to look for tonight, Dan?
Absolutely, Tom. We all know what a three-peat is, but tonight USC's Jerome Davis is going for the quad-peat. He's trying to win his fourth 400 meters in 4 years. He's an integral part of both relays, and we'll also see him in the 200. We're also going to see the premier collegiate miler in the nation, Bernard Legat. Tonight he's competing in the 15 and the 800 meters. I think he's going to run away with the 1500, but he's going to have his work cut out for him in the 8.
Thank you, Dan. Dan mentioned the fact that it's a three-peat, maybe a four-peat. Let's talk about UCLA, Tom. The men and women won it a year ago. The women are trying to win it for the third straight year. Can they do it?
Tom, they're the odds-on favorite, but the problem with UCLA has been they've had some difficulty in the postseason. They have had 5 NCAA second-place finishes, 3 NCAA third-place finishes since 1988. This is the year they want to get through this meet healthy and make that march to Boise, Idaho. Now, Salala Sua, she is the star for the Bruins. She's going to be competing in all 4 weight events. Now, in the discus, she is not only the collegiate leader, the U.S. leader, but the world leader in that event. In addition, she is one of the Pac-10's top performers in the other 3 weight events, and she will be an extremely important factor for the Bruins here in the postseason.
All right, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Dan. Our opening event is the women's 4x100 relay. We expect the race to be decided between lanes 3 and 4, and that would be where USC and UCLA will be running. For USC, it'll be Williams, Edwards, Edmondson, and Young, and for UCLA, Cherubin, Jones, Anderson, and Soley. And, of course, Washington's in lane 1, Arizona lane 2, USC, UCLA, then Arizona State in lane 5, Washington State, Stanford, California, and Oregon. You see the records. NCAA mark, LSU set that in 89. There's Williams, who will lead off for USC, running in lane 3. And Cherubin will lead off for UCLA, running in lane 4.
And a bit of a surprise, Tom, in that Tamara Cherubin is running the first leg for UCLA. Joanna Hayes was hurt in this meet last year, and you see Cherubin right now. She's only an 11:83 sprinter, and this is certainly not the squad that UCLA is going to be running the NCAAs in, but again, the very fragile nature of Joanna Hayes, 2 of the last 3 years she's been hurt in this competition.
All right, 4x100 for women. We expect it'll be a spirited get-together, to say the least.
Tom, USC is also the Pac-10 record holders in this event, and they are going to challenge for the NCAA championship with Texas. The USC foursome is just so strong top to bottom, leading off with the world junior silver medalist Angela Williams.
Their best time, a listed 43.35 in the block set, and it's a good start. Williams gets away quickly, as does Cherubin. Williams in lane 3 and Cherubin in lane 4. And the first baton passage goes without incident. And look at the speed of the second runner for USC, Edwards. She has really opened up a very big gap.
This is all SC right now. Oh, bad pass, Tom. We got to look for a yellow flag on that.
And Edmondson is now with the baton and running it for USC, and the final handoff will be to Young as they head into the final 100. Young coming down the stretch and being contested very much on the outside. It is a wob
Washington State
right to the wire.
Francesca Sewell, a disastrous pass over there from the second to the third. Tori Edwards. A great strategy by USC, though, to run your first 2 fastest people, Angela Williams and Tori Edwards, get a big lead. But that was disastrous over there. We have to look for a yellow flag to see if there was a disqualification, whether they went out of the zone or not.
And all eyes
we'll wait on that. It was a great finish by Washington State to almost win it, if indeed they didn't. They did at least finish second. Here's another look at the baton pass.
She just overran her. Oh, that's so close. You see the yellow diamond in the middle of the track there. If they were over that completely, then it was an illegal pass.
But does that give you an idea of just how good a 4x100 relay team this is when they can almost come to a halt, to a dead stop, and still win it? Amazing. USC apparently the winner, Washington State second. The next race coming up, the men's 4x100 relay. The meet goes on. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It's the Jeep Spring event, and great deals on your favorite Jeep vehicles are showing up wherever you look. like a low $269 a month lease on Cherokee Sport, with air, remote keyless entry, and power windows and locks at no extra charge. Or get Jeep Wrangler for under 15 grand. The landscape will never be the same during the Jeep Spring event, the event that's getting everyone to sit up and take notice. Get these speakers when you buy or lease a Cherokee or Grand Cherokee with Infinity Sound.
You don't get in this kind of shape running on a treadmill. You do it with strength exercise, and I do it with the Bowflex. You know, if you're not working out with strength training right now, you need to, because if you want to lose weight, you got to add the muscle, and that's why you need a Bowflex machine. It's like nothing else you've ever tried before. We've got over 60 exercises you can do on a Bowflex. You're never going to get bored. You can do a full workout in 20 minutes on a Bowflex machine. You're not going to believe how effective Bowflex is the first time you get on it. Bowflex may look a little different, but that's because we designed it to function correctly. Bowflex uses power rod resistance. Bowflex power rods are so effective that Bowflex guarantees results in 6 weeks or your money back. Try going to the gym and getting a guarantee on results. You won't find it. If you call and get our free videotape, you're going to see an effective workout and see how easy and quick and fun working out with Bowflex is.
The Pacific 10 Conference. Its academic excellence and athletic prowess are as great as the area it encompasses. Stretching from the state of Washington in the northwest to Arizona in the southwest. Unparalleled in athletic success, the Pac-10 has won more NCAA championships than any other conference. The 10 members have been providing the best in quality higher education for more than a century. The Pac-10, the Conference of Champions.
Back to Tempe, Arizona. This is Sun Angel Stadium. This is Arizona State University, and the next event in the Pac-10 Track and Field Championship will be the men's 4x100. I don't know if they can do any better excitement-wise than the women did. Tom Fuhr and Dan O'Brien, but what a race that was. Almost coming to a complete stop, the women of Troy, and they still went on to win it. The time, incidentally, we'll give that to you in a moment. Arizona, Oregon, Arizona State, Washington, USC and UCLA, Stanford, Cal, and Washington State. Those are the lane assignments, and we expect, Tom Fuhr, as you look at the past records, that this is going to be Arizona State, USC, and UCLA to decide this one. Is that correct?
Well, Arizona State and USC are definitely the two premier teams out here. You see Miguel Fletcher, great football player, who's the leadoff leg for USC. Now, leading off for Arizona State, quite a story, Dwight Phillips. Yesterday out here, Dan O'Brien, he jumped 26 feet 10 inches. That's fourth on the world list this year in the long jump. And this is Dwight Phillips right here. He wasn't even a long jumper to begin the year. He transferred from Kentucky where he was a triple jumper.
Well, he looked absolutely fabulous. He came back, he missed one round. He came back later and jumped to 26.4 right after that. He's making it look very effortless, but that was over a 1 foot best of the year for him. He's jumping 20 high 25s throughout most of the season. But here in this race, it's a lot like the women's race. You got to get this baton around. You know, USC was a prohibitive favorite, but they almost didn't get it around.
And Arizona State will not have the services of Marcus Brunson, the 10-10 100-meter sprinter who was second at the NCAA indoor earlier this year. He pulled up with an injury. And here we have UCLA's team.
On your mark.
Brian Fell, right here, who you see is a 400-meter hurdler who's running the 400 this year, the defending Pac-10 champion in the hurdles. He's the leadoff leg for the Bruins. Again, probably, though, Arizona State and USC will be the teams to watch.
Arizona State in lane 3, USC in lane 5, UCLA in lane 6. 4x100 for men.
And never count out a John Smith put together 4x1 relay from UCLA.
Incidentally, the time on the 4x1 for women, 44:32. Good start, and away they go. Miguel Fletcher running in lane number 5 is off very quickly for the first passing of the baton, and it's a very good one. Now the baton is passed to McCullough. Sultan McCullough running in the number 2 leg for USC.
And so, Tom, was Jawarin Hooker of Washington, who had a brilliant leg for the Huskies.
Running the 3rd leg now is Rogie for Washington. Lee for USC coming up to the final passing of the baton. It'll be Davis, Jerome Davis, who is the world's premier, one of the world's premier 400-meter men, winning it easily. And Finishing in second place was Arizona State. Unofficially, I have UCLA running third. Dan and Tom, is that the way you saw it?
Absolutely. We picked it from the start just like that. That was just how we saw it on paper, and it panned out. Arizona State would have had a much better shot had they had Brunson running on that relay, but Jerome Davis was just too much down the stretch.
But you really think somebody could have caught Davis? Dan, Tom, it looked to me like the man had about a 20-yard lead.
Well, everybody put their best sprinters on the second leg. Jerome Hooker ran, Sultan McCullough ran that second leg, and sometimes those middle legs make up the difference. So Jerome had a great big lead coming down to the final.
Take a look at Davis. He's in the middle of your screen coming to the wire, and he is well in front of the field. What a premier runner he is at 400. Anchors this leg of the men's 4x100, and the time unofficially for that would be USC at 39:46. Arizona State 39:98. Now, to me, that equates to a pretty good margin of victory when you see that difference, and UCLA at 40:01. Tonsel, in previous races, Tom Pure run very well. Is he a competitor in this one?
Well, very interesting, Tom. And as we see Legat here, Legat and Strutzel are both going to be doubling today, 1,500, 800. And the curious thing is Brad Hauser from Stanford, the defending NCAA 10,000-meter champion, moving down in distance now. Vinny Lanana, the Stanford coach, is a magician when it comes to these middle and long-distance runners. And I did a dope sheet for this meet, and of course I got everything wrong because I couldn't predict where Lanana was going to put all of his great distance runners. He's got Brad Hauser running the 1,500 here. He didn't have either Brad or his twin brother Brett running the 10,000 last night. So you just really never know until the last minute. But the tactics here are going to be interesting because Legat is by far the best kick of anybody in this field.
Well, you see the field lined up there again, and the people you'll be looking at will be Bernard Legat. He figures to be out, and according to my on-site experts, that man right there from WSU, Washington State University, he has the Pac-10 mark of 3:34.48. Set that a year ago.
And Tom, the Pac-10 is just simply loaded this year. I think it's a good point. A couple years ago, the Pac-10 had dipped a little bit. The Pac-10 is so strong in just about every single event, and this is a classic example. You have 4 or 5 people here that would be the #1 runner in almost any other conference in the country in this event.
I saw Strutzel there leading and right up there with Legat as they make the first turn. Remember, this is a 400-meter track, and they'll go 3 3/4. And that's Strutzel in the blue and gold of UCLA. And we saw him double in that meet against USC, and what a magnificent effort this kid put in.
And Tom, I think Dan O'Brien runs faster at the end of 10 events in the decathlon in the 1,500 meters than these guys are right now. They are simply walking.
Well, you talk about doubling back in the 800. Is it easier to go 15 and then 8, or is it easier to go 8 and 15?
It's probably easier to go 15 and then 8 because you get the hard one done. These guys, they came through the 300-meter mark in 47. The women came through in 46. So we'll see what they come through in the first lap. They're definitely 2 seconds down from what the women even ran. But, I think Kip Legat, he's running the race that he wants, and there we go. We see somebody get impatient and take the pace out on the outside.
Well, it should. It was 106.8 for 400 meters, and this is Jake Moss, a 3:41 1,500-meter runner who went to the Stanford Invitational and ran that a couple weeks ago. Somebody has to take it out because Kip Legat has the best kick of anybody in this race. Now, we know it's hot, we know it's windy, but somebody still has to make a race of it.
But isn't that Hauser running in the number 3 spot from Stanford with Legat in between?
That is correct. And Mikael Jones on Hauser's shoulder. Mikael Jones is a pretty underrated runner. He ran 13:52 for 5,000 in that Stanford Invitational. And Strutzel, being a very good 800-meter runner himself, he's laying back.
Yes, Strutzel has fallen back.
To show you how far off Kip Legat's running from his best right now, Mikael Jones from Arizona has a 10-second less PR than Kip Legat, and so you really see Kip taking it easy.
All right, that lap was in 1:02.8, so they sped up considerably from a 66 to a 62. And I think we're going to, this pack of 4 separated himself. I'm actually waiting for Strutzel to move in with them as well. But this wind is pretty darn strong down here.
So you see Stanford with their 2 runners, Hauser and Moss, pretty much dictating the pace of this.
And they've boxed Kip Legat in. This is interesting. This is interesting. The Stanford and Arizona runners seem to be working together with Jones on the shoulder to box Kip Legat in.
That's Michael Jones, Mitchell Jones that you see that's got Legat boxed in, and indeed he's had to move outside now to get a little running room. So Stanford leads Arizona right there, and Legat, the favorite of Washington State, running now number 4. And the runner from Washington, Joff Perry, running in the number 5 spot. Strudel is a very distant 6th now, as it looks as though you've got a foursome, and then the Washington runner, Perry, and then the rest of the field.
It was just a matter of time, Tom Fuhr, before Kip said, all right, I'm gonna speed up here and leave these guys. 200 meters to go. He's still giving them a shot.
And Dan, all you have to do is watch Legat's face and his arm action, and watch Brad Hauser right behind him. I mean, Legat is so effortless, and look at how hard the other 3 kids are working. He's a man amongst boys, gentlemen.
He has opened up a very impressive lead after it appeared that it was going to be a real struggle and a battle right to the wire.
And a great race for second. This is going to be important for team points for Stanford.
Stanford and Arizona. Washington State wins it. Stanford is going to take second. Arizona will be third.
And Brad Hauser got second for Stanford, the NCAA 10,000 meter champion. Impressive in a move down here to get second. Legat's final 341 seconds, Dan O'Brien.
I only dream about last 300 meters that fast. Definitely.
Well, here's a look at the far turn with 200 meters to go. Legat, the pre-race favorite, showed why as he just went by the entire field. Will glance over his shoulder from time to time to make sure there's nobody hard on his heels, and he wins it going away.
Hey, Dan, was this a jog for him? I mean, it didn't look like he put out any effort.
Absolutely. This really was easy for him. You see him do this kind of stuff in a workout on a daily basis.
You're watching the Pac-10 Track and Field Championships. We're in Tempe, Arizona at Arizona State. We're back with more in a moment.
Some single moms think it's tough taking care of a car. A car's easy. Being a Little League mom, now that's tough. Every time my Bobby steps to the plate, every time the coach looks at him, I get nervous. Used to get nervous about cars, too. Now I go to Al's Auto Supply for the right parts, the right price, and smart advice from Al's Parts Pros. Al's does whatever it takes to get a Little League mom back on the road again and help keep my life in order. Slide, Bobby, slide!
It's their territory. It's their world. But when man intervenes, the results can be deadly. These are nature's wild encounters. From the creator of Wild America comes a wildlife video unlike anything you've ever seen. If you crave excitement, if you're captivated by wild animals, this film is for you. Satisfaction guaranteed. Call this toll-free number now and use your credit card to get Wild Encounters for just $19.99. Order now and you'll also receive the best of Wild America, the first 10 years, free. That's right, both of these extraordinary programs are yours for just $19.99. So call now.
Have your credit card ready and call 1-800-601-5577 or send your check or money order to the address on your screen or visit our website at www.kingworlddirect.com. Call now.
This season, Pac-10 action is growing.
It is my pleasure to salute a group of companies which have joined the Pac-10 in supporting our men and women student athletes and intercollegiate athletics.
The Pac-10 thanks its growing family of corporate sponsors: Hertz, GTE, 7-Up, Arco, and AM/PM. Catch your favorite Pac-10 teams in action on Fox Sports Net. Pac-10, the Conference of Champions.
Welcome back to Sun Angel Stadium on the campus of Arizona State University. Fox Sports Net bringing you the Pac-10 men's and women's track and field championships. Stanford, 72 points. This is the women's score table after 10 events. UCLA trying for a three-peat is in third with 62 points. USC fourth with 36, and so on down the line. Next up will be the women's 100-meter high hurdles final. And a year ago, Tom Fuhr, a very dramatic moment for Joanna Hayes, the brilliant performer from UCLA.
Yes, Tom, she was well on her way to winning the 100 hurdles. She got a hamstring, what was thought to be a cramp at the time, but what ended up being a slight tear. Now, this devastated UCLA's title hopes at the NCAA meet 2 weeks later when the Bruins finished second to Texas. Keeping Hayes healthy is the most important thing for the Bruins right now, because last year they were second at the NCAA. The year before they were third, and with her injured both years, they could have potentially had one had she been completely healthy.
Well, she'll be running in lane number 5.
There's Hayes right there.
We'll run down the lane assignments for you. Robin Woolfolk of Stanford is in lane 1. Eleni Richardson of Washington State in lane 2. Miriam Shamba of USC in lane 3. Michelle Perry of UCLA in lane 4. Joanna Hayes, of whom we were just speaking, in lane 5. Natasha Danvers of SC in lane 6. Nicole Thomas of Arizona, lane 7. Randy Smith of Washington State in lane 8. And Tracy Lawyer of Stanford in lane 9. You see the records, Gail Devers, of course, and the automatic qualifying for the NCAA 13-10. Tom Fuhrer, who wins this? Does Hayes win it?
Hayes should win it. What's been exciting for the Bruins is her teammate who we saw earlier, Michelle Perry, has been coming on like gangbusters. And what's interesting here, Tom, is this is an important race from the team battle because UCLA has Hayes and Perry, USC has Natasha Danvers and Miriam Shamba. And if UCLA's top two, you see Perry on the left, Hayes on the right. If their top two can stay ahead of USC's top two, then that's a very good early indice that the Bruins are going to roll. Now, Dan O'Brien out in the lane 2 is Eleni Richardson of Washington State, who we've referred to as the female Dan O'Brien.
Eleni didn't run a great race to get in the hurdle final, but I think she wants to run faster. She'll also be in the 200 later. We got another heptathlete out in lane 9 in Tracy Lawyer from Stanford. So we got an American junior record holder in the heptathlon in lane 2, and we got the Pac-10 champ in the heptathlon in 9.
While we're waiting for the start of the 100-meter high hurdles, a flashback, yesterday's women's long jump competition.
Well, and this is Pam Simpson, the 97 Pac-10 long jump champion. She redshirted last year due to injuries. She was the favorite going in, and she ended up jumping 20 feet 7 1/4 to place third. This is Francesca Sewell, Dan O'Brien.
Well, she took her 6 jumps to pop her best jump of the day. She was only in 4th until that very last jump. She went 20 feet 8. Getting a better provisional mark than she had before.
And this is Keon Soley, another freshman. She was the top prep long jumper in the U.S. last year, and she won a gold medal at the World Junior Championships in the 4x100 meter relay. She set a personal best of 20 feet 11 3/4 inches, 6 meters 39. This is big news for the Bruins because this really improves their NC2A title hopes with Soley's great improvement in the long jump here. Sewell was a 2-time Pac-10 long jump champion second, and Pam Simpson, the 97 Pac-10 long jump champion, in third.
First and second on the winning jumps. On the ending 6 jumps. First and second places. It was amazing. It came right down to the very last jumps.
We're still waiting for the women to be to get going in the 100-meter high hurdles. Again, the field. Woolfolk of Stanford, Eleni Richardson of Washington State, Shamba of USC in lane 3, Perry of UCLA in lane 4, Hayes of UCLA in lane 5, Danvers of SC in lane 6, Thomas of Arizona in lane 7, Smith of Washington State in lane 8, and Tracy Lawyer of Stanford in lane 9.
I had a chance to talk to Joanna Hayes just for a minute yesterday. She said she was feeling really good, and a lot of people don't realize this, but she's got probably one of the best training partners in the world in Gail Devers, and she's here with her coach, Bobby Kersey.
Well, a moment ago, Gail Devers' name was all over the screen, having been the record holder and setter, etc.
And Tom, we haven't done justice to Natasha Danvers out in lane 6 from USC. She, like Lawyer and Richardson, is a multi-event performer, and we'll see her later against Hayes in the 400 hurdles. Tom, you might remember from the UCLA-USC duel, 1/100th of a second separated Danvers here from Hayes in the 400-meter hurdles, and they set a national dual meet record in that competition, and they've had 3 wonderful years of competing head-to-head with one another. And I'll never forget what Ron Allis said. He said he wasn't sure whether he was happier that his son was graduating from college or Joanna Hayes, because he's had to go against Hayes all 4 of these years.
Well, Hayes, all she does is beat him. His son, well, he just sits around the dinner table and eats. So, you pick your priorities. All right, we're set to go. There's Hayes, the lady we've been talking about from UCLA, a magnificent performer. She's a senior. Her teammate, Perry, is just a sophomore. SC's 2 performers, Danvers and Shamba, are both juniors. And it's a good start. And Hayes is away quickly. It is Hayes and Perry. Hayes and Perry. And the 2 runners, Danvers and Shamba of USC, are running 3rd and 4th. Hayes hit
another disaster for Joanna Hayes. This is unbelievable.
She can hardly walk. Look at the look on her face. And she hits the last hurdle, and she's in obvious pain. And I'm sure she's having a deja vu of a year ago, Tom Fuhr, and saying, no, not again.
Oh, this is tragic, Tom. And I think Jeanette Bolden's heart right now is absolutely in her throat. And nobody's more upset.
She's walking better now.
Yep.
I mean, she's not indicating that it's a hamstring or a cramp or anything. I think she just came up and hit the hurdle. Watch her now as she gets to the last hurdle in this race, winning it easily. She was away very quickly, and Perry running right beside her. You see her arm on the part of the screen. She was running in 2nd place. The 2 women from USC were 3rd and 4th. That she hits that hurdle and that one and staggers almost in tears to the finish line.
Well, she clobbered 9 and then she hammered 10. I don't think she's injured. I'll tell you, watch her come back in the 400-meter hurdles. I think she's going to come back with a vengeance and really try to prove something to somebody. I just hope she's not injured.
Well, who won the race? I don't think she did. I think Perry perhaps won it. Did she not?
Yes, Perry won it, and Danvers came up for 2nd. And what was nice here was that Danvers was the first person to come up to Joanna Hayes.
Well, if I take you back a year, wasn't Danvers the first person to come up to her when she was lying on the track?
Absolutely, Tom, and that's what the sportsmanship you don't often see in a lot of the other sports. You do see in track and field. Now, Dan O'Brien, I have a question for you. Mentally, do you think that Hayes was it could be freaked out by this time of season?
Oh, boy, I don't know.
Well, absolutely. I'll never forget Jackie Joyner-Kersee the year she pulled her hamstring in the World Championships. The very next year, she ran the 200 very tentatively. You need to forget about that and just continue to run. But your mind thinks about things like that.
All right, we'll be back to see more about Hayes, and we're going to see about the men's 110 high hurdles. Right now, we're going to pause for this important announcement.
In lane 4, Pac-10 champion the last 2 years.
You can't control Mother Nature. Experts report that weather patterns are changing fast, making it harder for anyone to say, a flood can't happen to me. That's what some folks thought in Northern California, and so did many in North Dakota and Minnesota, where the snow melted too fast. In fact, in the last few years, floods have hit all 50 states. Thousands of victims learned too late that homeowners insurance doesn't cover floods, but National Flood Insurance does. It's the best way to recover from flood damage, because you don't have to qualify for disaster relief or go into debt. Even weather experts can't outsmart Mother Nature. So call your insurance agent, or for free information, call this number now.
It takes 30 days before flood insurance goes into effect. Call this number today, the National Flood Insurance Program. We can't replace your memories, but we can help you build new ones.
I'm Andy Pettit, and I was born with a gift. When I was a kid, I found out I was pretty good at throwing a baseball. But as satisfying as that's been, the greatest gift of my life has been my personal relationship with God. It's gotten me and my family through life's ups and downs, including some pretty rough times. It's given us comfort and filled our lives with joy. If you're ready to know God on a personal level, this remarkable free book can help. It's called Power for Living, and it provides clear and meaningful answers to life's toughest problems. No matter who you are, Power for Living's message is a gift that can change your life.
To get your free copy of Power for Living, just call this toll-free number. There's no risk, no obligation, and no one will call.
Let Power for Living turn your life around.
Fox Sports Net is bringing you the Pac-10 Track and Field Championships from Sun Angel Stadium here in the campus of Arizona State University. Chris Myers hosts the show that critics call the 60 Minutes of Sports Television. Sundays at 9 on Fox Sports Net. Check your local listings for Going Deep. Well, we're going to take another look back at that women's race, the hurdles, and watch Johanna Hayes as she hits 9 and 10, but still staggers on to get third place. Perry takes the win. Danvers got second, and Hayes managed to get third.
Reminiscent Gail Devers in Barcelona, 92.
Next up will be the men's 110-meter hurdles. Interesting field for this. Lovell Houston of UCLA in lane 1. Delrick Lindsay of Arizona State in lane 2. Marlon Beaver of California in lane 3. William Arise of USC in lane 4. Aaron Watkins of Washington State in 5. Ben Meyer of Washington in 6. Dike Mambo of USC in 7. And Keith Varga of Arizona in 8. And Michael Hart of Stanford running in lane 9. Tom Fuhr, who wins this one?
Well, Aaron Watkins of Washington State, following in the footsteps of Dominique Arnold, who won the NCAA championships at Eugene in 1996. This kid's got a lot of potential. Obviously, at the NCAA level, he has to go up against Terrence Trammell, coached by Curtis Fry, who coaches Alan Johnson, the two-time world and Olympic champion. And this is his biggest competition, William Arise of USC in lane 4, who has won this Pac-10 championship before. Arise was the former African record holder in this event.
So Arise in lane 4 and Aaron Watkins in lane 5 from Washington State.
Big tailwind out there. Anything can happen, especially for a guy like Aaron Watkins. He really gets up on the hurdles, and if tailwind can, he'd rather have a headwind than a tailwind. But this looks like a two-man race between Arise and Watkins.
They're in the blocks. And a good start. And Arise gets away, and Watkins is right with him, but Arise getting away quickly. Arise and Watkins. Now Watkins is very close. They are shoulder to shoulder, and it's going to be Watkins, I think, but it's almost too close to call.
It looked like he really pulled on him with the last 3 hurdles to go. Aaron really runs well from behind. He didn't get a horrible start that time. Arise just killed him out of the blocks, but Aaron's the kind of athlete who when he's behind, he can really make a nice move, and looked like he almost dipped too early there, but I think he pulled that one out.
I don't know who took third. It might have been Mambo, but then again, it might not have been. Take a look at it.
Dan, it was, as you said, I've rarely seen such a bad start by a world or national class athlete, and Watkins is having trouble staying in his lane.
Oh, how close is that? Watkins by a nose, literally, and I think as you watch it again, you'll see that the runner from SC, Mambo, took third.
Dan, is his height a problem for him when he starts out of the blocks?
Well, his height's a problem for him when he has a tailwind. We might have to switch him to 7 strides going to the first hurdle. He comes off this last hurdle just kind of cockeyed and out of shape. You know, remember they measure from the torso on that photo finish, so whoever has the majority of their torso onto the line is going to be the winner there.
Awfully close, really. You pick a winner. Look at that.
I think it's Watkins, Tom. That reverse angle really helps in adjudicating that finish.
But at least he was a winner by a head. He had his head down and across the line ahead of Arise, if indeed that counts. Really a great finish.
I know Aaron really wanted that race this weekend, and we've got such a great tradition in Pac-10 hurdling. Mark Creer and Greg Foster, even Robert Redding.
Let's take you back to some other action earlier in the week, the men's shot put competition. Tom, if you will.
Well, you bet. It was a all UCLA affair in this shot put. The Bruins coached by Art Venegas, and this is Wade Tiff. And he got out there, proud of his UCLA uniform. Wade was 3rd in the 97 Pac-10s and 5th in the 98 Pac-10s. He threw 60 feet 4 inches. Now, this is Ben Lindsay, Big Ben Lindsay. This year he's gone to the Perry O'Brien technique as opposed to the spin. Ben Lindsay ended up taking 2nd place. Now, this is Travis Haynes. he got out to the same distance as teammate Tiff. These guys who have competed against each other for 4 consecutive years, and it was
Montana.
Tiff very proud of his hometown of Newport Beach. He beats Haynes. As you can see, they both had the same distance, 60 feet 4 inches. Tiff got the better of his teammate on the second best throw, and Big Ben Lindsay, who's gone to that different technique, he's 5 feet worse than he was last year, he ends up taking third.
So we come back to live action again as you look at Sun Angel Stadium here on the campus of Arizona State University. It is, as you might expect in the weather department, warm and windy. And the wind might very easily have affected a couple of things. I don't know it to be a fact, but Tom Fuhr, you were wondering about that 4x100 by the women that USC might have been outside of the legal limits in the passing of the baton in the third leg. We have unofficially been told that they have been DQ'd in that event.
Tom, 2 years in a row. The same thing happened last year on the anchor leg when Malika Edmondson took the baton out of the exchange zone. What's been amazing is that this is I don't know if it's the stars or the wind, but we've had things happen in twos this year.
Well, it's been interesting. I think we commented at the time, or at least I did, that the final anchor leg runner literally had come to a standstill, waiting for the baton, and still went on to win it. And so apparently they did not win it, despite their good effort.
And Ron, I'm sure that, Tom, I'm sure that Ron Ellis would rather have it happen here than at the NCAAs.
Let's go back now and check the women's shot put action. This happened yesterday.
Well, it was Salala Sua's third event of the day, and her quest to do as best she can in all 4 of the weight events.
Imagine that, Tom.
She's the NC2A leader of that. Now, this was Kristen Heaston of Cal. She's a senior transfer from Florida who became the second Cal weight eventer of the day to break a school record. She got out to 54.4 3/4 for second place, but alas, it wasn't enough. Here was Sua, the NCAA leader in the event, and she got out to a personal best by 2 inches and winning at 57.11, Dan O'Brien.
She's unbeatable. Absolutely unbeatable.
And freshman Shaniqua Ross of UCLA, another in the stable of Art Venegas' great throwers, takes third. Salala Sua going to be the NCAA favorite in the shot put and discus, and who knows what other points she can pick up for the Bruins in the hammer and javelin, and she may need to given the status of Joanna Hayes.
So it is now time for the women's 400-meter hurdles. 400-meter, excuse me. And the field includes Mandy Mazik of California in lane 1, Malika Edmondson of USC in lane 2, Arlena Davis of Arizona State in lane 3, Kinshasa Davis of USC in lane 4, Andrea Anderson of UCLA in lane 5, Geronda White of Arizona State in lane 6, Jana Smith of Stanford in lane 7, Sharika Higgins of Washington State in lane 8, and Monique Glass of Washington in lane 9.
And you see Andrea Anderson right here, Tom, and she was, of course, had broken the national dual meet record in that duel against USC. She's determined. I actually saw her and Joanna Hayes walking this morning in about 95-degree weather when I went out for my run, and she looked very focused and very ready for this competition, Dan O'Brien.
Well, she's ranked second in school history. She's got a season best this year of 52.26. PR of 51.48. She's going to be hard-pressed to run those times today because of this wind, but she looked very strong yesterday in the trials.
In the 110-meter hurdles for men, the time was 13:84 for Watkins. You ready for that? 13:85.
You know, another interesting storyline in this event is Kinshasa Davis of USC in lane 4. She's a redshirt freshman. She was the Cal. There you see her right there. Mike Ireland, our director, is getting all the good shots today. She was the California State High School champion at the 200 and 400 meters a couple years ago. The Trojans had great expectations for her. She's been hurt much of the year, but she's a tremendous talent. And if she runs to her capabilities, she could win this race despite having a truncated season.
Don't count out Arlena Davis from Arizona State in lane 3.
And a good start. And away very quickly was Kinshasa Davis of USC in lane 4.
And Anderson is out extremely fast in lane number 5, Tom.
She looks as though she's going to lap the field. She has really opened up a big margin as she runs down the backstretch.
And Kinshasa Davis does not look good right now. Does not look good at all.
Remember, they have to come into the headwind, down the home straight. So we'll see how that affects him.
Anderson is well out in front of the field. Andrea Anderson from UCLA.
And on her outside in lane 6, Geronda White of Arizona State, who we didn't talk about, is coming on well as well. And Malika Edmondson, Tom Kelly, we talked about from the 400-meter relay. She's moving up in lane 2.
She's making a real race out of it, but I don't think she can catch Anderson. She cannot. Anderson will win it. And Malika Edmondson of USC will take second. And Andrea Anderson of UCLA will win it. Opened up a wide lead early on in the race, and then running into the wind, managed to hang on and hold off Edmondson, who made a very close race of it for second. We'll be back with more of the Pac-10 men's and women's track and field championships after we pause for this message.
527 now.
Hey, Junior, we don't want to miss our curtain. I hope you've got Hertz #1 Club Gold.
Well, not exactly, but this company's fast. Oh, sure.
Can't we skip the rental counter like it hurts?
Well, not exactly. Duh.
Hey, genius, I'm waterlogged. Doesn't your company have a canopy like Hertz?
Not exactly.
Remember, there's Hertz and there's not exactly. Choose the right one.
So you still think I'm the dummy?
Not exactly.
Only Fox Sports News has expert analysis from former pro athletes like NBA All-Star Marcus Johnson using the Fox Scope.
Hey, yo, Frazier, man, what's up with your parking skills, man? Why are you tripping? No, I ain't tripping, man. Look at the thing right there. Who taught you how to drive? Ray Charles, man? Huh? I mean, look at the door right there, man. Do you know how much it's going to cost me to get that milkshake buffed out of my paint job, brother?
Okay, here we go. In 3, 2,
and we're back.
What's it really like? It's a body pump class at lunch.
It's just one more mile. It's a hard ride and no rain.
It's mastering a challenge.
It's having someone to watch the kids.
It's going for the extra lap.
It's 2 more reps than before.
It's a sauna. Or maybe a steam. It's all the great new equipment.
It's crunching till it burns. It's a little friendly slam and jam.
It's having fun with my friends. It's the way it makes you feel.
24-hour fitness, it's all this and more. Join now for less than $5 a week. Call 1-800-204-2400.
This is Fox Sports Net Northwest.
Welcome back to Sun Angel Stadium, the campus of Arizona State University here in Tempe. Pac-10 track and field championships. Stanford 66 points and USC 65 in the men's competition. UCLA a very close third. Washington State, Arizona, Oregon, Washington, Cal, and Arizona State in that order. The results of the women's 400, Andrea Anderson of UCLA winning it wire to wire, 52-44, and Malika Edmondson came up quickly to get second at 53-17. Geronda White of Arizona State in the number 3 spot at 53-55. The scoring, of course, 10, 8, 6, 5, and down the line. The men's 400-meter field will have Easter of Arizona State, Lee of Arizona, Jordan of USC, Davis of USC, Berrien of Arizona State, Fell of UCLA, Blanchard of Arizona State, Williams of UCLA, and Moore of Oregon. Quincy Watts of USC set the NCAA record. Interestingly enough, Jim Bush, the man who coached him while he was at USC, came by earlier to say hello. Looks great. One of my favorite people and one of the truly great all-time track and field coaches. Nobody quite as nice, quite as good as Jim Bush. There he is, Jerome Davis, Tom Fuhr, Dan O'Brien. Nobody can beat this guy, can they, unless he falls down?
Yeah, probably not today. He's got to be one of the most prohibitive favorites in the meet, and he has a lot of races to run here at this meet, 8 races in 2 days, and that's why when you saw the anchor leg of the 400-meter relay, he wasn't going all out.
Well, I tell you, his not going all out was good enough for about a 20-meter victory edge in that one, and he was slowing down, you're right. I mean, just taking it to the wire in his own sweet time. Davis is in lane 4. Fell of UCLA is in lane 6. And Berrien of Arizona State's in lane 5. Jordan of USC in lane 3. And Davis is away quickly, running in lane number 4.
And he's almost made up the stagger on Tony Berrien at his outside, and Tony Berrien himself is a 45.8 400-meter runner. This is an incredibly impressive display given the fact that he's happens to run so many races in this meet.
Well, he's going for the 4, Pete, and that's his style to take it out early like that. Make everybody chase him, and a lot of people, most everybody, can't catch him.
That's Davis, you see, making the turn and turning down into the straightaway and leaving the field.
The lesser
Davis.
Excuse me, Tom. The lesser places are going to be important in this race for the team battle. Brian Fell currently running in 3rd. If he can hang on, it's going to be important for UCLA's hopes to try to defend their Pac-10 title.
I think it's going to be Berrien to take 2nd. He does, and Fell takes 3rd. And coming in 4th was a Jordan of USC. But it was again Davis who really just ran eased up in about the last 20 meters of that race, saving himself, I'm sure, but winning easily.
That was an excellent race. He might have even ran under 45 seconds flat there, which would be just incredible for these conditions tonight.
Well, he's an unbelievably gifted athlete, no question about it. Here's another look at it. You can see him winning, going away in the battle for 2nd. Berrien and Fell, and Berrien wins that by just a bit.
He got the 4, Pete, that's for sure. He just didn't get the 4, Pete. He hammered it.
Fell at 46.2, and Davis at 44.9, and Berrien at 45.83 unofficially. Here's Tom Fuhr. Thomas?
Jerome, you made it look easy. The 2 for 2 today. Are you going to try to make it 4 for 4?
Yes, I am. But I just can say glory be to God. I was able to come out here, run hard, run seasonal best. I'm just thankful.
Derek Brew has run 44.29 at the SEC Championship. Is it going to be hard for you, given that, to defend your NCAA title? Are you ready for him?
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but like I said before, I mean, you know I'm a competitor. He's a great athlete. It's going to be a good race.
We know you're a competitor. Congratulations. We'll see you in the 200 and the 4x4. Back up to Tom and Dan O'Brien.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now congratulations to Jerome Davis. I've always thought, as you look at the results, totally unfair to ask a guy who's just won a run 400 meters in 44.95 some questions, and the man totally out of breath.
Well, the winner
Berrien was 2nd and Fell 3rd.
The winner is never as tired as the 2nd or the 3rd place guy, so you got the best guy out there probably.
So Davis is 2 for 2, and he'll be back to run 2 more, anchoring the 4x400, I would imagine. All right, Fox Sports News prime time, nightly at 10 p.m. And a reminder for you to check in with Keith Olbermann and Kevin Fraser. They'll bring you all the day's scores, highlights, and breaking stories, nightly at 10 on Fox Sports Net. Check your local listings. Well, evening has come upon us here over at Tempe, Arizona State University and Sun Angel Stadium. Warm and windy, as you might expect at this time of the year over here at ASU. Yesterday's steeplechase competition, Tom Fuhr, what about this baby?
Well, Micah Davis, a repeat story from last year, Tom Kelly. Micah, who ran 8:41.95 for 4th in last year's NCAA steeple. He took it to Jeremy Lyon on the last lap and won going away. The interesting thing about Micah Davis, of course, is he's the 4th oldest of 18 children, coached by the legendary Pat Tyson at Meade High School. His brother Matt also competes for the University of Oregon track team, and Micah made it look easy, as expected, winning the steeple for the 2nd consecutive year. You can see Jeremy Lyon there of Arizona was in 2nd. So a big finish for the Ducks as they went 1-3 there, with Rob Aubrey actually a surprise 3rd. Time was not so fast, but when you're out there running in 90-degree weather, you don't expect it.
Next event coming up is going to be the women's 100-meter run. And this one is inundated for sure with no less than 4 women of Troy runners. Shakeda Jones of UCLA, Christy Winkle of Arizona State, Brianna Glenn of Arizona. And the 4 women of Troy are Angela Williams, Tori Edwards, Candace Young, and S.E. Banyarku. And then from Stanford, Wilson Charles, and from Washington State, Francesca Sewell. Dawn Sewell of Louisiana State, interestingly enough, has the NCAA record. And Gail Devers again with the Pac-10 record. Angela Williams, of course, was a standout running for the women of Troy in the 4x100, although they were disqualified for a bad baton pass.
She's the all-time national high school record holder and U.S. junior champ with a PR of 11:11. Windy 10:98. The big question here, though, is can Shakita Jones, who doesn't appear to be in the race at this time.
Oh, boy.
Wow, that's another surprise for us.
Shakita is not competing?
Somebody else is. I was expecting her to break up the USC sweep, but I don't even see her in lane 3 right now.
No, and someone running for UCLA is, but we do not know who it is. I apologize for that. But we have Angela Williams in lane 4, Edwards in 5, Young in 6, Benyarku in lane 7, as you see 4 members of the Women of Troy track team. And a good start. And Angela Williams gets off quickly.
And Tori Edwards, Tom.
Very quickly. That's 1-2, and Edwards is leading. And Edwards and Williams, and that's how it is. Edwards, Williams, and Candace Young. So it is an SC sweep.
Edwards really got a great start. You know, being the senior there. Can't let a freshman beat you. Good job, Tori.
Well, this is not a surprise. Tori Edwards is a former Pac-10 100 and 200 meter champion. And actually this year she's been running better at the longer distance, the 200 meters. And by the way, this is UCLA's team hopes for NCAA are extremely in jeopardy with Shakita Jones pullout. And as you can see, Edwards was just stronger down the straightaway. Williams got out faster, but Edwards' strength, which you'll see in the 200, prevailed here. And Candace Young took third, USC 1-2-3.
Make it 1-2-3-4. I think Benyarku took fourth. Here's Williams as we see her in competition. She didn't win it, but here's a look at her.
Angela Williams is surprisingly short. I expected a taller person when I saw her the other day, but she's really got some excellent turnover. She needs a little help with the upper body and the arms, but excellent turnover.
Tori Edwards wins it for USC, and Williams comes in second. Young is third, and I believe Benyarku got up for fourth. I think it was a 1-2-3-4 sweep for the women of Troy.
And Tom, after that disastrous 400-meter relay when USC passed out of the exchange zone, they may be now cutting the margin on UCLA in the team battle.
Well, they certainly got a lot of points, 18, 11, 29 in that race alone, if indeed it was 1, 2, 3, and 4. Back with more in a moment.
At Hewling Brothers Auto Center, we're going to save you a lot of money on a used car. What you do with the money you save, well, that's entirely up to you. Hewling Brothers, over $10 million in inventory at the top of the hill in West Seattle. Anything you want, we've got it.
It's their territory. It's their world. But when man intervenes, the results can be deadly. These are nature's wild encounters. From the creator of Wild America comes a wildlife video unlike anything you've ever seen. If you crave excitement, if you're captivated by wild animals, this film is for you. Satisfaction guaranteed. Call this toll-free number now and use your credit card to get Wild Encounters for just $19.99. Order now and you'll also receive the best of Wild America, the first 10 years, free. That's right, both of these extraordinary programs are yours for just $19.99. So call now.
Have your credit card ready and call 1-800-601-5577 or send your check or money order to the address on your screen or visit our website at www.kingworlddirect.com. Call now.
I fell off a swing. I just got hit by a baseball, that's all. I was playing with matches.
Welcome back as we now move to the men's 100-meter adventure. Jim McGee of ASU, Maurice Lee of ASU, Sultan McCullough of USC, Charlie Lee of USC, Jawarn Hooker, Washington, Damian Allen of UCLA, Brian Harrison of UCLA in addition, and the rest of the field, Philip Pipersberg, and Brian Raspberry of Arizona State, Cal and ASU. The record at Bolden, there is Sultan McCullough.
He had taken a couple of weeks off, as you know, Tom. We didn't see him at the UCLA-USC meet to concentrate on academics. He is a very, very talented freshman. He competed in the World Junior Championships last year. And, of course, his main competition will be this guy, Jawarren Hooker, and he's got a mean look on his face. He's the defending Pac-10 100 and 200-meter champion from last year. And Tommy was a great football player for the UW football team, a big play athlete. You can see him here. Questionable touchdown, perhaps, Tom?
Well, I don't know. Most of the foot was in, I guess. Some of it might not have been, but
come on,
hey, that was then.
Home game. It was a home game. Come on.
That was then. Hey, listen, the officials don't have a home field, do they? All right, we expect it'll be a real battle between McCullough and Hooker.
Jawarren struggled with a stress fracture early in the season, but here late in the end of the outdoor season, he has been running faster, almost 1/10 faster every single weekend. He looked great in the trials yesterday, not only in the 1, but the 2 as well.
This is a very important meet because he doesn't have an NCAA qualifier yet, Dan O'Brien, in either the 100 or the 200 meters. And this is a guy that was 3rd in the NCAA outdoor last year and won the NCAA indoor. He seems to be in a bit of a sophomore slump that he can hopefully break tonight.
All right, we've got Allen and Harrison of UCLA. Hooker's between that pair and Lee and McCullough of USC. And the experts feel the race is going to be won by somebody from, well, 3 through 6. McCullough in 3, and Hooker is in lane 5.
Hey, Tom, one other athlete we should definitely mention is Charles Lee of USC. He's a senior who's gotten progressively better. He's out running in lane 4 between McCullough and Hooker. We definitely don't want to overlook him. There you see Lee. He is going to be a contender to win the 200 here, and he has just gotten better and better in each of his last couple seasons with USC, and he could steal this race.
Hooker, I believe, is the defending Pac-10 1 and 200 meter winner.
He is, and as I mentioned, Sultan McCullough, despite the injuries in the last couple of years, was on the U.S. 400-meter relay team that won the silver medal at the World Junior Championships last year. He ran the second leg, took over from Casey Combest, that high school runner, white sprinter from Kentucky.
So you see the stare of Hooker. There's McCullough as they get back into the blocks again. Paul Hackett anxiously awaiting McCullough's arrival on the football field this fall. And I'm sure that Neuheisel up in Washington is anxious to get the ball to Hooker. Huh? That'll be a great Pac-10 football season.
He actually says he's a track and field specialist.
Playing football.
Playing football, that's right.
Yeah, they've done a few of those. Set.
Oh, you know, one false start and you're out in the college season, and it looked like Lee of USC was the one that moved.
Yes, it did.
I'll tell you, though, we saw some of these in the trials yesterday, and they've been very hard-pressed to pull people out. The guns have been very long. They'll probably reprimand everybody the first time, tell everybody to come up and hold them set, and not disqualify anybody.
I think they just sent Lee away.
Oh,
they have disqualified Lee.
That is the first disqualification we've seen, and there were quite a few of those jerky motion starts yesterday.
Well, that's unfortunate. You can only sympathize. You see Lee there.
Hooker, Tom. Hooker moved. Actually, Hooker's movement caused Lee to move. Hooker moved a little bit. He didn't move up, but he moved side to side.
All right, let's watch Hooker again. And look at that.
They were both flinching, and any kind of movement is cause for a false start.
See, Hooker did have that flinch, and Lee reacted, and as a result, Lee is out of the race, and Hooker is still in. Well, I guess all's fair in love, war, and track and field.
Tom, absolutely not. If I'm the starter, I keep everybody in because he held him too long, and I think that's a heinous mistake made there.
Can you imagine all the work and effort that Lee has put into this? As you indicated, he's a senior, and now he's on the sidelines watching.
Well, we'll see him at Boise in 2 weeks. He does have an automatic qualifying mark.
So again, they're in the blocks. And a good start, and McCullough and Hooker get away quickly. It's Hooker and McCullough. Hooker and McCullough. Hooker and McCullough. Now it's McCullough. McCullough wins it easily.
McCullough pulled away in those last 40 meters.
And Brian Harrison and Damian Allen scored some important team points for UCLA in that race.
Well, it's a shame that Lee wasn't in there to run with his teammate, but what a race McCullough put on.
That's what I'm talking about. Right. Get it cracking up from here.
I can hear McCullough from here, and he's 100 meters away. He got his own microphone? Here again is the finish. That's Hooker in the purple, and McCullough, the second man in, left of your screen, and McCullough just widens the gap here as they get to the tape and almost glances over as if to say, where's everybody else?
And Brian Harrison came on very strong, and I think Allen may have beaten Hooker for third.
I do indeed. In fact, Sultan McCullough wins it in the 100 for men, and we'll be back with more here in Tempe, Arizona in a moment.
I'm Reggie White, and all my life, I've had to be tougher than the next guy. After all, it takes a strong, powerful man to do what I do for a living. But I believe it takes even a bigger man to ask for help when life's problems get to be too much. But what's guided me through life's turbulent times has been my personal relationship with God. It's given me hope, it's given me peace, it's given me happiness. If life sometimes gets you down, if it just seems too much at times, there's a book that can start you on your way to a personal relationship with God. It's called Power for Living, and it's an incredible book. It's honest, easy to read, and tells it like it is in helping you get your life back on track. Power for Living. It can show you how to cope with the everyday problems that plague us all.
Power for Living is free. To get your free copy, just call this toll-free number. No obligation, and no one will call. Call now for your free copy of Power for Living.
Call now to start your personal relationship with God.
She's growing up 1,000 miles away from her grandparents, 1,000 miles from the way you grew up. But now her time with them can be unlimited. With Sprint, switch now. Call toll-free 1-877-4-WEEKENDS. You'll get unlimited weekend calling for your first 2 months. And 1,000 weekend minutes every month after that for just $25 a month, which can close the gap in a heartbeat. Is there any better way to spend $25? Even weekdays are just a dime a minute. Call Sprint now for 1,000 reasons. 2 months of unlimited weekend calls and 1,000 weekend minutes every month after that, even on calls to your Sprint 800 number. And only a dime a minute on weekdays, which can make 1,000 miles disappear. Isn't that the point of contact? Call toll-free 1-877-4-WEEKENDS now or visit us at sprint.com.
We'll check up on our bookwork. Tori Edwards, Angela Williams, and Candace Young. A 1-2-3 finish for us. Actually 1-2-3 and 4. Ben Yarko was there as well in the 100. For the men, Sultan McCullough wins it. Harrison and Allen of UCLA finish ahead of Hooker from Washington. Big win for McCullough and a dismal fourth for Hooker. All right, after 13 events, USC has a 7-point lead over UCLA, Stanford, Arizona, Washington State, Oregon, Arizona State, Washington, and Cal. The team scores after 13 events for the men. And now we turn to the men's 800, and what a race this should be, as we've got a half a dozen class runners in here, and 3 or 4 of them. Strutzel from UCLA has won. You've got Legat from Washington State, who just breezed in the 1500, and Nduimana from Arizona. Who's going to win this thing, Tom Fuhr?
Well, it's really one of the premier events of the meet. It's one of the premier events of the meet, Tom. You got 4 world-class runners in here. Legat is going to be pushed here, unlike the 1500, which was a stroll in the park for him. Nduimana is the second fastest runner in the NCAA this year. You have Strutzel, who is part of UCLA's collegiate record-setting distance medley, and a 147 guy, and a guy who thinks, by the way, that he can win the NCAA. He was 5th last year. And then you got Michael Granville, the national high school record holder, who's out there in lane 9. So you got 4 people here that are really of a national caliber or world caliber level, and this is not going to be any slow pace to start off with either.
No, in fact, almost all of the favorites you mentioned or people to watch got away in a hurry. And Deweyama, Oregon's runner, out on top.
Ross Krempley is a freshman, ran 151 earlier this year, 153 in the heats. I don't know what he's doing out there. But look at how easy Nduimana looks. And Nduimana does not have a great kick. He is the one that really needs to be pushing this pace. He's got a good tempo, but he cannot allow this thing to come down to a kick.
Legat on the outside is running 2-4, maybe now moving up into the number 4 spot.
Interestingly enough, Nduimana and Legat are good friends. They even took an ice bath yesterday after the prelims of this race. I just wonder if Nduimana is a little too far ahead of Legat right now.
And well, he's out in front, Legat trying to close the gap, and Nduimana running rather easily.
And Jeff Strutzel not even in the picture. I don't know what's going on with Jeff Strutzel, and Granville's in third.
Can Legat catch him?
I think Legat can catch him. I have no doubts Legat will catch him.
Crowd is on its feet. Nduimana from Arizona and Legat, that's where the race is. Arizona, Washington State. Legat won the 800 easily, trying to make it a double here in Tempe. And down the stretch they come.
This is going to be tight, and Nduimana's going to hang on.
Was it too late? Was it too much too late?
Not going to catch him. Nduimana wins it, and Legat is second.
In an excellent time, a 1:46.42. That's not official, but that is an excellent time here tonight.
That is a superb time in these conditions to run 1:46.42 and take the lead basically from the 300 meter point in this race. And Patrick Nduimana, actually interesting story, he was brought out to the University of Arizona by Wilson Tipketer, who he met before. And this kid has got a lot of talent. And Legat, this is the first collegiate race he's lost in a long time.
All right, an exciting race here in the men's 800. Let's go back to competition earlier, and we'll turn to the men's hammer throw. Thomas?
All right, and here is the men's hammer throw. Adam Connolly from Stanford. Adam Connolly was the prohibitive favorite to win this event. But here was a major upset. USC's Norbert Horvath came into the ring and got out a personal best throw today of 227 feet plus, and he defeated Conley. Some big points for USC in this event, as Adam Conley had been among the top throwers all year long and was a pretty heavy favorite to win this event. So you see Norbert Horvath of USC, the winner, 69 meters 42, converts to 227.9. He beats Adam Conley by 1 feet 9 inches, and Luke Sullivan, the senior from UCLA, was third. So the Trojans got the day off to a big start there, and a pretty sizable upset that Horvath beat Connolly.
All right, we're back with more of the Pac-10 Track and Field Championships after we pause for this message.
The Avis Preferred Service System, linked by network, so without so much as signing a name, your car and keys are waiting. Still, at Avis, we know technology doesn't try harder. People do.
Running late, Mr. Spencer?
Yeah, huge presentation.
How about I call ahead for directions?
That would be great.
I'll drop you right at your car.
Speed and personal service. It's what everyone at Avis is dedicated to delivering. We try harder for you.
Edgar?
Batting practice.
The roof will be rocking when the AL's most potent long ball attack tees off at the Kingdome. Yes! Albert Bell leads the Orioles as they take on Junior and the homer-hungry M's. Goodbye, baseball! Orioles-Mariners series begins Monday at 4:30 on Fox Sports Net.
You don't get in this kind of shape running on a treadmill. You do it with strength exercise, and I do it with the Bowflex. You know, if you're not working out with strength training right now, you need to. Because if you want to lose weight, you got to add the muscle, and that's why you need a Bowflex machine. It's like nothing else you've ever tried before. We've got over 60 exercises you can do on a Bowflex. You're never going to get bored. You can do a full workout in 20 minutes on a Bowflex machine. You're not going to believe how effective Bowflex is the first time you get on it. Bowflex may look a little different, but that's because we designed it to function correctly. Bowflex uses power rod resistance. Bowflex power rods are so effective that Bowflex guarantees results in 6 weeks or your money back. Try going to the gym and getting a guarantee on results. You won't find it. If you call and get our free videotape, you're going to see an effective workout and see how easy and quick and fun working out with Bowflex is.
Cards Marlins, Thursday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on Fox Sports Net.
Here's the field for the women's 400-meter hurdles. Black of California, Kelly of Washington, Perry of UCLA, Griffiths of Washington. She was a tough competitor a year ago. Hayes of UCLA coming back, obviously not injured. Her pride, I'm sure, hurt. Danvers of USC, Smith of Washington, Hennis of Oregon, and Shamba of USC in this field of 9. Vickers of UCLA with the NCAA and Pac-10 meet mark.
This is an important race, Tom and Dan, for Joanna Hayes and the entire UCLA track and field team. They've got to get the monkey off their back, and if Hayes wins this, it's going to buoy the entire team, and you can see she's trying to pull herself together, Dan O'Brien.
You know, I didn't notice it the first time we saw her when she went over hurdles 9 and 10, but it looks as though she's got her left ankle taped. Does she, Dan?
Yeah, maybe just a slight laceration. It looks like maybe a Band-Aid underneath there a little bit. That's actually soft tape, and it's probably just cut herself a little bit.
But I did notice that she had it in the earlier hurdles race.
Absolutely.
She got it from, Tom, crashing that 9th hurdle. It caused as Dan said, it caused a laceration. So she had it taped up. Thank God that was the only serious part, or not even serious part, injury from that race, as opposed to last year where she had the hamstring injury.
Hayes and Danvers have seasonal bests only 1/100th of a second difference.
And that was in the race, the USC-UCLA duel. This is chapter probably 25 of this great rivalry.
And keep an eye on Keisha Griffiths from UW in lane 4.
Everybody off to a good start. In lane 5 is Hayes. In lane 6 is Danvers.
And Danvers has a slight lead. You can test it by seeing who goes over the hurdle first. And Hayes has made up the distance now. Oh, and now Joanna Hayes is moving well.
She ran conservatively in that first 100 meters, but here she begins to open it up.
The real contrast in style. Danvers is so tall and so, although they both overstride somewhat, Dan, but Danvers clearly physically is so much taller.
Danvers had to stutter on that last. Looks like her steps were out a little bit, but this is really going to be a great race as we get down to 100 meters to go.
Danvers with quite a finish. Danvers has really taken a big lead now over Hayes. Hayes closing the gap a bit as they come to the last hurdle. Danvers has taken that. Hayes trying to catch her, and she's not going to. And Danvers wins that. Hayes is second.
Well, that's just a moral victory, I think, for Joanna Hayes to still be standing after that race. I know she was pretty emotionally shaken after that high hurdle race, and I think she's that's going to set her up nicely, especially if you can run the 4x4 at the end of the race and move on to Boise in a couple of weeks.
Keisha Griffiths, who was second, I think, at this event a year ago, finishing third from Washington, ran a very good race, but Danvers really just, I thought Tom Fuhr put her away early, put Hayes away early, and never looked back.
I think Danvers really made a move. As soon as she started to feel the pressure from Joanna Hayes with about 150 meters to go, she really dropped the hammer. Her steps weren't perfect on that last hurdle, but she had a nice 10-meter lead and just stroked it into the finish.
All right, with Natasha Danvers, we've got our man Tom Fuhr. Tom, if you will.
Natasha, it was a heck of a race with you and Joanna Hayes. The rivalry is so storied. What are your feelings like right now? Because I know that you've gone with this great rivalry, and it's coming to an end pretty soon.
Well, we had a great little era between us. I love her. She's a great competitor. She's tough. She was hurt before she came out here, and she still got up and she ran. She did what she had to do for her team. And both of us, we just do the same thing. I just try to do my best for the team and get out here and stay strong.
Well, next up is the NCAA Championships. Congratulations on a tremendous performance. Back up to Tom.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you. What a magnificent race by Danvers, and she best a woman she's competed with and against, and obviously feels great affection for Joanna Hayes of UCLA. Here are the results. Danvers, Hayes, and the young lady who finishes there or thereabouts, it seems, from the University of Washington, Keisha Griffiths. Griffiths comes in third.
Well, the pole vault was very interesting yesterday. Now, this is actually UCLA number 2, Brian McLaughlin. He was the wrong Bruin, but he came up to take third in this event. Steve Michaels, the top Bruin pole vaulter, was out with an illness. Now, this is Toby Stevenson, one of the more unique pole vaulters in the world because he wears a helmet. His parents required him to wear a helmet for this event. He was the Pac-10 champion, the NCAA champion last year, and he ended up finishing second. Now, this is Piotr Bucharski. His father, Wojtek Bucharski, was 5th in the 1976 Olympics. They have the same coach, Andrzej Kuczynski at the University of Oregon, and it was Bucharski who also earned points in the long jump yesterday, who won this event. So Piotr Bucharski of University of Oregon was the winner, 5 meters 47, which converts to 17:11 1/4. Toby Stevenson of Stanford second. Those two will be competing for an NCAA championship with Texas's Jacob Davis in a couple of weeks. And Brian McLaughlin scored key points for the Bruins in third.
Excellent marks because there was a huge right-to-left crosswind there, and a lot of guys struggled. So that's a very, very, very good height for such cruddy conditions yesterday.
All right, give me a moment to tell you about Jim Rome. He tells it like it is on the Nightline of sports talk shows. We're talking about weeknights at 6:30 midnight on Fox Sports Net. Check the local listings, Jim Rome. And the last word. Athletes tune in to see what Rome has to say about them. And the people tune in to see what Rome says to them. All right, the next event on our bill of fare is going to be the men's 400-meter hurdles. But before we get to that, we'll take a look at the women's 3,000 of yesterday.
Well, the story here, Tom, was Marie Davis, who has never exhibited this kind of kick before, and she ended up making a surprising victory here in the 3,000, defeating the Stanford crew of outstanding distance runners with a strong kick down the stretch. Marie Davis, who the Oregon Duck folks have expected quite a bit from, finally came through to win a Pac-10 championship. Marie Davis wins. Julia Stamps, the former outstanding high school runner, took second place for Stanford, and then Colleen Faraday from Stanford took third. So the expected Duck and Cardinal duel in the distance races continued last night, and Marie Davis won her first Pac-10 championship.
Julia Stamps almost led that race start to finish.
All right, we'll check the field for the men's 400 from USC. Dejan Joyner, Marlon Beaver of Cal. Then Delrick Lindley of ASU is running in the third lane. John Hall of UCLA. Felix Sanchez of USC. Willem Drayson of Oregon. Eric Dudley of Washington State University. Narc Narcisse of UCLA. And Coke Edmond of Stanford.
Well, Felix Sanchez definitely the class of the field with a personal best of 49.49. And then John Hall close to him after that. 51.44 is a seasonal best. You know, it's strange conditions out there. Anything could really happen, but also keep your eye on Coke Edmond and Eric Dudley from Washington State. Coke Edmond from Cal.
Tom Kelly, we saw Felix Sanchez perform brilliantly.
Saw him do his very best, didn't we?
Yes, we did at the UCLA-USC duel when he set a national dual meet record, going away in wins that were tougher than this on that day, 49.49. He is really a contender for the NCAA championship. He has the fastest time in the NCAA this year, and if the Trojans are to win and beat Arkansas in the NCAAs, he's going to need to win that event.
Did we not see John Hall of UCLA run very well as well?
Yes, Tom. John Hall's what I call a classic overachiever. He doesn't have a lot of speed, not nearly the kind that Sanchez has, but he really gets the most out of his talents. And Dan O'Brien had earlier mentioned John Smith, and John Smith, of course, does a great job with UCLA sprinters and hurdlers, especially working on the speed of these hurdlers. And you can see Sanchez is just cruising right now.
He is rolling along in fine fashion, thank you, as he has taken lead here in this men's 400 hurdles. That is Sanchez of USC, and that's Hall to his left, middle of your screen. But Sanchez has opened up a very wide gap and leads the field to the final hurdle. And unless he falls down, why, he's going to win it. Sanchez, and Hall is running a distant third now, and for Oregon coming in, it appeared to be Willem Dreesen. Is that correct, who finished third?
That's right, from University of Oregon, but that's an excellent winning time, 49.95. Man, these guys from USC are posting incredible marks tonight. 49.95, excellent time tonight.
Well, it's a great evening for the Trojans, men and women, and for Coach Ron Ellis, I'm sure. We'll be back to tabulate a lot more, and we'll be back with more of the track and field championships after this timeout.
my shirt. Too sexy for my shirt. So sexy it hurts.
At Hewling Brothers Auto Center, we're going to save you a lot of money on a used car. What you do with the money you save, well, that's entirely up to you. Hewling Brothers, over $10 million in inventory at the top of the hill in West Seattle. Anything you want, we've got it.
Find out what makes Valley I-5 Washington's leader in used RV sales. See over 100 motorhomes, trailers, fifth wheels, campers too, in most sizes and price ranges. A huge selection of hard-to-find Class Cs, several used Bounders, and many others. Complete RV sales, service, parts, and accessories at one huge location. Quality products, top service, and discount prices. That's Valley I-5, located 15 minutes from Seattle or Tacoma, right on I-5. Open every day. Stop in.
The Craftsman, the Hammer, the Future, the Legend.
Goodbye, baseball!
Fox Sports Net Northwest has the Mariners all season long. Sponsored in part by Dodge and Eagle Hardware. This is Fox Sports Net Northwest.
The Pacific 10 Conference. Its academic excellence and athletic prowess are as great as the area it encompasses. Stretching from the state of Washington in the Northwest to Arizona in the Southwest. Unparalleled in athletic success, the Pac-10 has won more NCAA championships than any other conference. The 10 members have been providing the best in quality higher education for more than a century. The Pac-10, the Conference of Champions.
Officially, the results of the men's 400 hurdle, Sanchez winning it quite easily over Dreesen of Oregon and Beaver of California. And the 200 for women, Mucker of Washington State, Charles of Stanford, Eleni Richardson of Washington State, Williams of USC has scratched. Tori Edwards would be the prime favorite in this one. Shakeda Jones of UCLA has scratched. And Tracy Lawyer, Stanford, Essie Benyarku, who was the fourth place finisher in that other race where the Trojan women swept it 1, 2, 3, and 4. She's in lane 8, and Christy Winkle is in lane 9. Dawn Sowell, Gail Devers, the Olympic NCAA qualifying is 23 flat.
Tom, an update on, this is Tori Edwards who won the 100 earlier, but an update on Shakeda Jones. We didn't see her in the 4x1. We didn't see her in the 100 meters. And according to Bill Bennett, the UCLA's Fine Sports Information Director, she got a cramp in her right hamstring towards the end of the 200 in the heats yesterday. And let's not take anything away from Tori Edwards' performance in the 100, though. This is an unsung hero, you know, kind of in the shadows of her freshman teammate, Angela Williams, who was all everything in high school last year and won the silver medal at the World Junior Championships. But Edwards could be a double Pac-10 champion here with this race and should take it.
Tom Fuhr, expound a little bit on if you scratch or you're not eligible, you aren't going to be racing in the 4x4 either.
Well, this is a situation where if you don't have it's an honest effort rule, and if you do not compete, you cannot in one event you cannot come back in and compete later in the meet.
All right, there's the gun, and they're off in the 200. They'll finish right in front of us here, and they start in a staggered start across the way. Tori Edwards is the favorite in this event, and she has taken the field and the lead as you see her coming down the middle of the track. Tori Edwards.
Eleni Richardson and Tracy Lawyer battling it out. 2 heads for second place.
And Tori Edwards wins it easily as she picks up her second victory here tonight. And for Ron Ellis, I'm sure he's a very proud and happy man, Tom Fuhr.
Yes, absolutely. You mentioned Ron Ellis. He's done a marvelous job with resuscitating from the ashes this program. And, of course, Barbara Edmondson, who's one of Ron Ellis' assistants, works with the sprinters. You could balance a cup of water on Tori Edwards' head. Look at how relaxed she is, how well she runs that turn. Look at her facial muscles. Her facial muscles flap around because she's so relaxed. Incredible sprinting form. Wouldn't you say, Dan O'Brien?
Absolutely. Very, very efficient, smooth, and that's what you want in the 200 meters. You know, she looks like Michael Johnson running around that turn. Just how smooth and still that upper body and shoulders and head was.
Technically, a really sound performer. You know, Ron Ellis was mentioning that it costs $50,000 for a year to matriculate at USC. So what he's been able to pull together with baling hail, wire and some Elmer's glue and really put together a fine team on both the men's and women's sides.
Jennifer Bridgman of Arizona State, 2 minutes 10.56 seconds.
And of course, yesterday we had a great women's javelin competition. Guess who? Salala Sue, everybody. Are you surprised? But this is Allison Beatty of Stanford, who came in with the best throw in the Pac-10 this year of 155 feet. And Beatty actually had a seasonal best. She threw 156.9. Okay, but here's Salala Sue. She did not even compete in this event at last year's Pac-10. This is the weakest of her 4 events, and yet she still wins. She throws a personal best, 161.2. It's a personal best by over 7 feet. She beats Allison Beatty. Washington freshman Heather Reichman, who was on the basketball team for the Huskies, ended up with a personal best, finishing 3rd. And Salala Sue now goes on to the NCAA championships, where she'll compete only in the shot and disc. Tom Kelly.
All right, coming up next will be the men's 200, and Jerome Davis, who has sparkled, anchoring the 4x1 and winning the 400. The man right there will be running and trying to win his 3rd event of the night, the 200, and he'll be in against Lee, a teammate who had a false start. Hooker's trying to come back. He's the defending champ in this as far as the Pac-10 is concerned. Let's check the lane assignments. Manley of Cal, Raspberry of ASU, Berrien of ASU, Davis, the aforementioned, of USC, and Lee, the senior for USC. Hooker, the sophomore from Washington, who was beaten 4th in the 100. Dwight Phillips of ASU, Damian Allen of UCLA, and Blanchard. Lorenzo Daniel of Mississippi State is the NCAA record holder, and Aldo Bolden of UCLA is the Pac-10 holder. And there is Hooker, the young man from Washington, who has that same 7-mile stare about him, Dan O'Brien, that he had in the 100.
Well, he wants this one. He really got blown out in that 100 meters. He's a very focused guy, and he's trying to get in the zone. You know, in defense of Charles Lee, the one good thing about false starting is you're always fresh in your next race. So we'll see if he can use that.
How good is this guy, Jerome Davis, Tom Fuhr? Can he make it 3 in a row?
Well, I think one of the things that Dan focused on in you, Tom, is that he's a very competitive runner. And this isn't clearly as good an event for him as the 400, but it's great in terms of honing his speed. He's a strong runner, and I think probably when you say, well, Quincy Watts was a USC graduate who won the 1992 1992 Olympic gold medalist. What's the difference between these two?
I was about to ask you that. Does he compare favorably with Watts?
Well, he probably is almost as strong as Quincy, but the one thing about Quincy was a lot faster than Jerome, and I think Davis and his coaches recognize that he really needs to get some work in events like the 200 and the 4x100 relay to really hone his speed.
Well, the 400 meters is the base of all sprinting events. If you can run a good 400, you should be able to run a good 200 and a 100 as well. But you're right, Tom. Quincy Watts did have a lot more speed. You see Michael Johnson pulling the double in the 400 meters and the 200, but that's very rare. So an individual that can do both events are very rare.
You know, one other thing out in lane number 7, I just want to go back to, you talk about great coaches, and John Smith is one. Out in lane 7, Dwight Phillips of Arizona State. One of the great things that Greg Kraft did at this university when he brought it back was bring in Darrell Anderson from Kentucky, who is Tim Harden's coach. And Tim Harden is the 2-time USA indoor champion and was silver medalist to Maurice Green at the World Indoor Championships. Maurice Green, by the way, is in attendance today. This is Dwight Phillips. Never been a long jumper before this year. Goes out and jumps 26.10 yesterday, the 4th best mark in the world this year. And of course, there is Charles Lee, who false started out of the 100. Got some nice storylines in this race, Tom Kelly.
All right. Once again, it is Manley, Raspberry, Berrien, Davis, Lee, Hooker, Phillips, Allen, and Blanchard. The men's 200, they'll finish right in front of us here at Sun Angel Stadium. In the blocks. And a good start.
They should have called that one back, Tom. There were at least 2 runners that moved.
Well, we've seen that before, and only Lee was...
Oh, and in lane number 8, Damian Allen of UCLA pulled up with a hamstring.
In the middle of the track, almost too close to call. It's Davis and Hooker. Davis and Hooker and Lee. Oh, and that's a 1-2 finish.
20.37 unofficially. I think that speed we talked about he lacked, he doesn't lack anymore. And if you watch the last 30 meters of that race, Dan O'Brien, Tom Kelly, he put it to a gear I haven't seen in a while.
That's
unbelievable.
That's the strength of a 400-meter runner, a guy that can dig deep and change gears with about 40 or 50 meters to go. He just reared back and let it rip.
And what a great race for Lee as well to finish second. Both of them ahead of Hooker, who has to be bitterly disappointed. He was the 1 and the 200 Pac-10 champions. And look at Davis and Lee just go by Hooker. There's Davis, big and strong, and Lee running in the number 2 spot.
Hey, Dan, if you're Ron Ellis, do you put Jerome Davis in the 200 of the NC2As, knowing that he has a tough race against Derek Brill to come out?
It's hard to keep him off the track in any race he wants to run.
That's a lot of work, Tom.
We'll be back with more. First, we'll pause for this message. What a night for Davis.
When you're flying around a track at 180 miles per hour, danger is always right there beside you. In every race, every turn, every lap. Now, I'm not superhuman, but I've never been afraid. Because deep inside, there's something greater than fear driving me. And that's my personal relationship with God. A relationship that turned my life around. And now there's a remarkable free book that can help do the same for you. It's called Power for Living. It's a simple, compelling guide to everyday life that provides genuine answers to life's everyday problems. Through my victories and defeats, the message of Power for Living always keeps me and my family right on track.
To get your free copy of Power for Living, just call this toll-free number. There's no risk, no obligation, and no one will call.
Let Power for Living work for you.
She's growing up 1,000 miles away from her grandparents, 1,000 miles from the way you grew up. But now her time with them can be unlimited. With Sprint, switch now. Call toll-free 1-877-4-WEEKENDS. You'll get unlimited weekend calling for your first 2 months. And 1,000 weekend minutes every month after that for just $25 a month, which can close the gap in a heartbeat. Is there any better way to spend $25? Even weekdays are just a dime a minute. Call Sprint now for 1,000 reasons. 2 months of unlimited weekend calls and 1,000 weekend minutes every month after that, even on calls to your Sprint 800 number. And only a dime a minute on weekdays, which can make 1,000 miles disappear. Isn't that the point of contact? Call toll-free 1-877-4-WEEKENDS now or visit us at sprint.com.
Welcome back to Sun Angel Stadium, Tempe, Arizona, Arizona State University, the Pac-10 Track and Field Championships. Tom Fuhrer, how about the women's discus?
Event number 4 for Salala Sua, and of course she's the best discus thrower in the world this year. And so obviously this was going to be the easiest of the 4 events, and she took care of business. This was the 3rd first place finish of the 4 events she had. Her other place was a 4th, and she had 2 PRs. Now this is Fiona Daly of Arizona State, the defending Pac-10 champion in the high jump. And on her home turf, she won it again in a jump off at 5 feet, 10 3/4 inches.
We'll find out what you want.
And here we go with the results. Salala Sua, as we mentioned, winning the discus. Cecilia Barnes, the daughter of Lacey Barnes, the Olympian and 3-time world champion team member, 2nd. And then Fiona Daly winning that jump off with Whitney Evans, who took 3rd in the heptathlon last week. Cecilia Klinkenberg of Washington State. Again, a very strong performance by the Cougar woman today. And in the pole vault, Tracy O'Hara beat Nicole Reed, with both going 3.85 meters. Erica Hornick in 3rd.
All right, now we move to the women's 4x400 relay. And the 2 teams expected to battle for this one, UCLA and USC. SC will have Langerholtz and Edmondson, Davis and Danvers, and UCLA, Williams, Perry, Soley, and Anderson. Washington, California, lanes 1 and 2. NCAA record, Texas has that. And the Pac-10 meet record, Arizona State. For Arizona State in this one, Davis, Linder, Colson, and White. Arizona State running in lane 5, USC in lane 6, UCLA in lane 3. Women's 4x400. And they're away with a good start.
Well, what we're looking at here is a two-turn stagger. So it's going to be very difficult to see people moving up at a very rapid rate, but already Kenyon Sully from UCLA has made up the stagger on Sharika Higgins at Washington State University. But remember, a two-turn stagger, so it's a larger stagger than you would normally see in the regular 400 meters.
And Brigitte Langerholtz has gotten out very well for USC. And UCLA, of course, is the two-time consecutive Pac-10 champion in this event. Langerholtz looks very good, though, for the Trojans. And, of course, she earlier won the 800 meters in this meet.
Well, the women of UCLA are trying for their third straight Pac-10 championship. Langerholtz is going to hand off the baton to a very nice lead, and she will give the baton to Edmondson. And it's a good handoff, and Edmondson, with her left leg and the upper thigh heavily bandaged, has the baton and moving now.
And Malik Edmondson, of course, ran very well in the open 400. We didn't see any signs of an injury there. She ran very well. But the Arizona State team, which is very strong, is now moving into first place.
That's Priscilla Heim from Arizona State. She made a nice move on that back straight as they cut into the middle lane, as they cut into the lane one there.
And
Joanna Hayes, and it's Joanna Hayes moving up for UCLA right now.
And trying to regain some ground for USC is, of course, Edmondson with that heavily bandaged leg, and now she has come back, and she has taken the lead in a very nip and tuck struggle here with Joanna Hayes.
Joanna Hayes is going to get the baton next. It looked like her, but here she goes.
You're absolutely right,
Hayes has got it now.
52.5 for Malika Edmondson, a very good split considering how shaky that start was.
And Davis of USC with the baton now for the women of Troy, and Hayes running second, UCLA. They've taken a considerable lead over the rest of the field. It'll be Danvers to anchor this for USC, and for UCLA it'll be Anderson.
Well, this is where the strength and the versatility of a Joanna Hayes comes in so handy. You can run her on the relays, and especially the 4x400 meter relay.
And this is surprising, Dan, because I thought the experience and the strength of Hayes would be able to gun down Kinshasa Davis, but Kinshasa Davis has run a brilliant leg here for USC, and this is going to be a great anchor because we have the Open 400 winner Andrea Anderson going up against the Open 400 hurdles winner Natasha Danvers, and a 52.4 for Kinshasa Davis. And Anderson is going to try to make up a lot of this distance in the first 200 meters.
Danvers and Anderson, and they are in a real battle as they go down the far stretch. Anderson trying to close the gap, and Danvers trying to keep her away. It is a two-person race and a two-school event, this women's 4x400. Danvers is not giving up an inch.
Never bet against a 400-meter hurdler because they do have a lot of strength.
Danvers is not giving up an inch to Anderson. Danvers, after getting the baton from Davis, who had a brilliant third leg, continues to lead and widens the lead and is pulling away to an impressive win for the women of Troy in the 4x4.
Woo!
Wow, what a victory.
I think it was that third leg that won it for him.
Boy, what a great race, Davis, and then handing it off to Danvers, who just ran out of sight to win it for the women of Troy. Next up, the men's 4x4. We'll be back to finish it up with that.
There are people devoted to the natural beauty of wood. They know how to protect that beauty. To you, we dedicate the full line of Olympic wood care products, each specially formulated to fit every wood care need. Always look for the name you trust, Olympic, for all the beautiful wood in your home.
Sunday at 9 on Going Deep. Go undercover with the super agent man, Lee Steinberg.
Still fun, it's still exciting.
Then meet a college co-ed who's on the fast track to success. Going Deep, Sunday at 9 on Fox Sports Net.
It's their territory. It's their world. But when man intervenes, the results can be deadly. These are nature's wild encounters. From the creator of Wild America comes a wildlife video unlike anything you've ever seen. If you crave excitement, if you're captivated by wild animals, this film is for you. Satisfaction guaranteed. Call this toll-free number now and use your credit card to get Wild Encounters for just $19.99. Order now and you'll also receive the best of Wild America, the first 10 years, free. That's right, both of these extraordinary programs are yours for just $19.99. So call now.
Have your credit card ready and call 1-800-601-5577 or send your check or money order to the address on your screen or visit our website at www.kingworlddirect.com. Call now.
Can't miss Baseball Thursday. Big Mac and the Cards are ready for a fish fry. Mark McGuire looks to pound him out a pro player against the Marlins. Can't miss Baseball Thursday on Fox Sports Net. This is Fox Sports Net Northwest.
USC winning the women's 4x400, 331-63. UCLA, and then Arizona State in that order, second and third. And the team scores for men after 17 events. USC leads UCLA 123-102. The men's 4x400 coming up. Oregon, Stanford, USC, Cal, Arizona State, UCLA, Washington, Arizona, and Washington State. And USC, according to Tom Fuhr, is running their very best unit. And that would include the likes of Jordan, Joyner, Sanchez, and Davis. UCLA, Fell, Hunter, Allen, and Harrison. USC is running in lane 3, UCLA in lane 6, Arizona State in 5, and Cal is in 4.
Well, and Tom Kelly, not only is USC's team is also #1 in the country in this event right now at 302 and change, and they're going to have some competition from Oklahoma at the NCAA championships, among others. But they are right now probably the favorite to win the NCAAs in this event.
Jordan is leading off for USC. Leading off for UCLA is Fell.
You know, I think that might be Granville. I believe it's 800-meter Granville.
It is Michael Granville, who is third in the 800, and he'll be handing off to Terrence Williams for UCLA. They change the orders around for those that are uninitiated, oftentimes right up to the last minute in this event.
And UCLA is out and winging here.
And not a good leg for Leroy Jordan. Granville's running very, very well, but Jordan is not running well, and it's going to be a lot now for DeJohn Joyner to make up here.
Joyner has made up some ground as he's moving in, tied for what would be, well, just in 4th place now. And UCLA continues to lead.
And that's Terrence Williams, as we mentioned, and this is a bit of a surprise that the Bruins are hanging in so well right now.
USC running in the number 4 spot.
Arizona State in second with Rondra Moore there. And Cal in the second position with Wayne Body. Or third position, excuse me.
Joyner picking up some ground now for USC.
USC's big studs are on those last 2 legs. Felix Sanchez and of course, Jerome Davis. Sanchez gets the baton, 47-3 for Joyner. Very unspectacular, but we're going to be able to see what Sanchez can really do here.
Well, he's a distant third, and he's got a lot of ground to make up.
This is Easter for Arizona State in the second position right now, but here comes Felix Sanchez making a move with 200 meters to go.
And one more lap to go. Sanchez will hand off to Davis.
And Malachi Davis of UCLA, who's running the third leg for the Bruins, got DQ'd in the 400 yesterday for running out of his lane, a somewhat controversial decision, so he's rather fresh.
Boy, I tell you, this has been a great leg run for USC.
By Sanchez, and now here's Davis. 44-9 for Felix Sanchez. 44-9, and now Davis and Brian Fell are going to be going at it.
I don't know if Davis can make up that much ground. He's won the 2, the 1, he anchored the 4x1, he won the 2, he won the 4.
He's going to do it, Tom. He's going to do it
now to anchor and win the 4x4 for the USC men. He is closing the gap, but Fell continues to lead. What a race this has turned out to be. Here comes Davis.
You can't teach heart, Tom Kelly. You can't teach
Davis
heart. This kid has got a lot of heart.
Turnover and patience is what got it done right there.
Davis with his 4th victory tonight. The 4x4 the 200 and the 4x1 as he made up an enormous amount of ground that SC lost as they got this thing started. Jordan had a terrible opening leg. Joyner got some back, and Davis won it going away. What a magnificent performance in the men's 4x4. We'll be back with a final word right after this.
The Avis Roving Rapid Return. In under a minute, it downloads, tallies, and prints your receipt. Still, at Avis, we know technology doesn't try harder. People do.
You're all set, Mr. Parker.
Thanks. We've got 20 minutes to get all this stuff to the gate.
Oh, not a problem. Let me help you with the bags.
Oh, okay. Great. Yeah.
Speed and personal service. It's what everyone at Avis is